Good morning. Oh, thank you. Okay. Are we ready to go?
We are ready.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to share with you this moment in City Hall Council chambers. I thought, I've been in office now for 10 weeks, and I thought and spoke with Dave Riggleman that we should communicate as much as possible with the press so that the press can communicate, as you do, with the public. And so we're reinstituting these mayor press conferences, and I'm sure, feel free to ask me anything, and if I don't know the answer, I will get the answer to you. I'm still in the learning mode. The first 6 weeks I went to what I call mayor's school, where I was meeting with all the department directors. What do you do? How do you interact with the mayor's office? What can I do to help you to do your job better? And these are not 20-minute meetings. They're 3 to 4 hour meetings at a time. And so the first 6 weeks, with everything else I was doing, I also was in mayor's school. So I have a pretty good handle now after 10 weeks, but certainly I'm not an expert on every issue. And would you mind terribly if we go around the room and you let me know your names, although I have a pretty good idea, and who you're here representing?
Hi, yeah, my name is Grace DeRocha, and I'm with the Las Vegas Sun.
Yes, you are. That's great.
I'm Guy Tannenbaum, and I'm with Channel 13.
And I love your family.
I'm Anaya Collins. I'm representing the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Very nice, very nice.
Chase Duckworth with Fox 5 back here.
Hi.
Brad Boyer, Channel 3.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, there, Eric Youngblood representing Shelley.
Pleasure.
Travis Jensen, Channel 15.
Thank you. I hope you're not going to test me later. But welcome. I'm very happy that you're here. And yes, yes. Yes, city. This is my security team. So anyway, as you all know, I have been in office now for 10 weeks. It's been very intense and very fun and rewarding. I'm learning a lot. And I've developed a very strong appreciation for the staff. I think the city of Las Vegas has an outstanding staff that share my belief in public service and doing what's best for the community and the people that we represent. My philosophy of public service is that we serve the public, not the other way around. And I think that has served me well over the 30 plus years that I've been in office. And so I am anxious to take your questions. And so why don't we start with Grace?
Thank you. And thank you, Mayor Berkley, for answering our questions this morning. Just to start off with, I guess, kind of an easy one, why did you feel in this sort of climate that we have today that these meetings and these mayor conferences would be beneficial to have, not just for the city itself, but for the people?
Well, I believe in transparency, and again, I have a long history of public service. I was in the Assembly, and then I was on the Board of Regents for 8 years, served in Congress for 14 years, 7 terms, and now as mayor of Las Vegas. I don't think that there should be any secrets in government, and I want to make sure that the community knows what I'm doing, how it impacts them, and the best way to get our message out is obviously through the press. So thank you for being here. Mr. Tannenbaum.
All right. You mentioned you went to mayor's school. What was one of the biggest things that you had to learn in adjusting to your new role in these last 10 weeks?
Great question. Look, I have the public service part of this job down pretty good. Nothing that has occurred has been a surprise to me. But I have experience, I had experience on the federal level. I had experience in education, obviously, with the Board of Regents, and on the state level as a member of the Assembly. But local government was something I didn't have a great deal of experience with. And so I think it was important to learn what our departments do. How do we interact with the public? What do the directors do? What are their responsibilities? And I think it was important for me to learn this. Now, after I did the 6 weeks, and I'm still obviously learning, but if I could have those meetings again now with 10 weeks under my belt as opposed to 3 days, I think I would absorb more. But there's obviously a lot of reading. Every time we finished our 3-4 hour meetings, I got a stack of material to read, which I diligently did. And I know that in time, this is going to become second nature to me. And I always tell people as a comparison, when I was elected to Congress, and you know, as a freshman, a week after you're elected, you go back for freshman orientation. And you pick your office and the furniture, which is a lot of used furniture from older members of Congress. I remember walking into my freshman office and thinking to myself, how did you manage to fool all those people back home that they actually thought you could do this job? And then, of course, with time and experience, I got a pretty good handle on what it was like to represent Southern Nevada in our nation's capital. And I kind of had the same reaction when I walked into the mayor's office, which is breathtakingly beautiful. And I left everything the way Carolyn left it, because there was nothing I could improve upon, and I didn't want to spend any money on furniture anyway. And so I said, oh my goodness, you know, this is such a new experience. Even though I am so experienced in public office and have dedicated a lifetime to it, the fact of the matter is this was all new and very, very exciting, I have to say.
I'm back.
Hi.
Is the city actively working to end or shorten the hiring freeze, and if so, how?
Well, obviously, this is not how I anticipated coming into the mayor's office with these financial constraints. But we have a responsibility and an obligation to do what we have to do to end the Badlands saga. We have five legal cases against the city that all went against the city. So it was time to make the decision. Very, very difficult. Nobody sitting on the city council now was here at the beginning. And there might have been a completely different outcome, and that question wouldn't have even mattered. But we are doing some belt tightening, but as soon as things soften up a little bit, or tighten up a little bit, we go back to normal. But I think it would be very irresponsible to spend money we don't have. And so we're doing the best we can. And I believe this with all my heart, the city of Las Vegas over the next 10 years is going to be wildly successful. And there's a lot of different projects I could point to demonstrate that point. Our future is extraordinarily rosy. It's just right now, you take a step back and a deep breath, you tighten your belt, and you look to the future. And that's exactly what we're doing.
Might change.
Oh.
And one more question for you. How did jurisdiction factor into the city council's decision to vote down the animal advisory board?
Well, it was my, the ordinance that was proposed was to have each of the city council members appoint someone to this animal advisory committee. It would meet 4 times a year. It would have no authority, and nothing that they did would be binding on anybody. And I thought, given the situation, throughout southern Nevada, when it comes to our four-legged friends, we could and must do better. It had been my opinion from the start, and I did do an in-depth dive into what was happening with the animals, and there is a tremendous challenge. But it seemed to me that taking a regional approach and working with the county, North Las Vegas, reaching out to Henderson, which I have not done yet, other than tangentially having a conversation with the mayor, but having a serious sit down, I have not done. Finding out if there was a commonality of interest where we're all working together, interacting with professionals, veterinarians, the people that are running the rescues, and finding out from them what is it that we can do to solve the challenges that we have. And as I said yesterday, we are dealing with some very bad human behavior. Our humans are abandoning their pets, abusing their pets, harming their pets, and neglecting their pets. So we are reaching out to the public, and that's why I'm so happy you're all here, to be responsible pet owners. I mean, I think I'm, okay. Can people hear me? Am I okay with the mic?
Yeah, just
Okay.
start that over. Will you? Repeat the last thing you were saying here.
I have no idea. Do you want me to start from the beginning? The regional?
What you about the pet owner?
Through you, we want to reach out to the public and ask them to please be responsible pet owners. Make sure your pets are spayed and neutered. Make sure that if you microchip your pet, and if you've microchipped your pet before, why make sure that the information is current. And that's a problem we have with microchipping. Somebody will microchip their pet, and 10 years later they've moved 3 times. So if the pet is lost and they check the microchip, if you don't have a current address there's no way to reunite you with your lost pet. So we're just reaching out to the public and asking them to please act responsibly. And one of the things I want to do is provide the resources that if you're a good pet person and you don't have the money to spay and neuter or microchip your pet, I want to be able to provide resources that will enable you to do that free of charge. And I know so many of the rescues do discounted spaying and neutering and microchipping, but for some people even that's too much. So why don't we do everything we can to help responsible pet owners care for their pets? And I think that's going to go a long way in helping with the crisis we have. We also have another problem with not enough veterinarians in our community to do the work that is needed to do. And so if we can work on that challenge as well, we don't have a veterinarian school in the state of Nevada. Consequently, people have to come after they graduate or after they've been practicing in other locations to come to resettle in Las Vegas. We have a tremendous need for veterinarians and training the veterinarians that are here to do spaying and neutering in a way that is affordable and fast and safe. And so those are the things we're working on. In addition to that, backyard breeders. It is against the law. And our Marshals Service is conducting raids when they find out about backyard breeding situation and shutting them down. And that's also important. So did that answer your question? Yes. More than you ever wanted to know?
Yes. Hi, Mayor Berkley. Nia Collins again with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I have a few questions. I'm going to start with a lowball question. What is your favorite song?
Oh my gosh. I have to tell, well, I have a lot. I'm a big Beatles fan. I mean, that was my era. And so there's any number of Beatles songs that I love. I'm also an I have very eclectic taste in music. I'm also an Andrea Bocelli fan. And so his Time to Say Goodbye always makes me cry. And so I love that as well.
I like Andre Bocelli too. So we can get serious now. Our state has a significant housing shortage, and we continue to build more homes. Investors are buying up properties constantly. What are we doing or what do we plan to do to protect renters here in Southern Nevada to make sure they're not price gouged out?
It is a challenge, there's no doubt about it. And I tell people, when my family first moved to town, my dad was a waiter when I was growing up. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. The very first house we bought was Party Home, Parde, in right near Valley High School, because I went to Valley High School, so I was able to walk to school. Cost $33,000. It wasn't exactly the Taj Mahal, but we had a safe neighborhood, and it gave us roots in the community. We belonged here. We owned property, and it really made a significant difference in the future of my family. So I truly appreciate home ownership and believe it should be affordable for working men and women, teachers, casino workers. They need to be able to provide a safe and affordable home for their families. As far as rental property, you are absolutely right. The cost of rental now is exorbitant, and there's a lot of reasons for it. One of them, and the main reason, is supply and demand. There is a lack of supply and a huge demand. And I think that demand is only going to grow as the city of Las Vegas continues to grow, because with our economy as strong as it is, and FBA's coming here, that's another stadium, that's more building trades jobs. People are going to be pouring into the community. And as we continue to grow, there's going to be more need for service workers like my dad was. So I'll be more than glad to provide to you a list of the apartments that are being built within the city limits, the condos, the housing projects. But all you have to do is sit through one city council meeting to see all of the approvals that are taking place. And I think that is going to go a long way into easing the crisis that we have. But we need to be preparing for our future. Not only is our future rosy, but we are dealing with a number of issues that are really growth related, like housing, like traffic, and the health care, education. All of those are fundamentally important, and we need to be planning for our future. It's coming sooner than we could even imagine, and I think with good stewardship and very, very competent staff in the city, that will be able to ease the pain that a lot of people are going through right now. And let me punctuate that in a minute. We have challenges in the city and throughout all of Southern Nevada. They're growth-related challenges. I would rather be dealing with growth-related challenges than an economy that is shrinking, where you're losing population, you're losing your tax base, and trying to figure out how you're going to make ends meet. We have the opposite challenge, but I think that we're up for the task.
Thank you for that. And I have to ask, how do you feel about the Badlands case finally being over, and what are your thoughts about the imminent settlement and the financial impact to the city?
A very good question, and a matter of full disclosure, I live in Queensridge, so I've been involved with this for 9.5 years now. Again, there is nobody serving on the city council that had anything to do with the decisions that were made by the city council. We now have to make a decision on how we're going to end this and move forward. We have a number of lawsuits, as I mentioned, that all went against the city. And a 7-0 decision by the Supreme Court also ruled against the city. It was time to acknowledge that the city made some mistakes, and now we are responsible for making the developer whole. Keep in mind,
We're going to stop here. Crystal, why don't you bring me that mic? And
Oh, is this not working?
questions and, so we can hear everyone. That's right, I got you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Crystal. Should I unplug or?
We're gonna go
Okay,
ahead.
in case we. Oh. No, that's me, yeah. Okay, oops. I'm having a wardrobe malfunction, a microphone malfunction. Oops.
You're okay.
I feel it now.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. It's time, let me just wrap this up. Time to end the Badland controversy. If you don't know how much you're paying out, there's no way you could do budgeting or planning for the future. None of us love the fact that we have to write such a big check. Lennar has been, it came at their offer came at the absolute right time. They offered for the property $350 million cash. So that's going to go a long way into paying the settlement that we owe the developer. The rest is on the city. We're tightening our belt, as you know, and in a few years, this is just going to be a memory. Because I believe, I have enough faith in our city, and I know how strong our economy is, that a couple of years from now, this will all be over, and we can get back to providing even more services for the people that call Las Vegas home. You're welcome. Who? Oh,
I think we're good. And one more up front.
Guy has a question here in the front.
oh.
Thank you, Jake.
Sir. So one of the key ways that the city has claimed you'll be repaying the Badlands settlement is through the sale of the Cashman property.
Yes.
Obviously, the last time the Cashman Center was on the market, it goes so well. So how is the city working to make sure that that actually is a full part? And
I think you need to talk into the mic. I
it
don't want to
wasn't
tell
going
you
so
your
well.
business.
So, what is the future of the Cashman property from your perspective? And in your opinion, what would be best served as its future use? Stadium, housing, a lot of people claiming that housing, affordable housing or homeless services could go there. What's your vision for the Cashman property?
Okay, first of all, the reason that there's so much interest in Cashman, I must have had 10 meetings with people that have all sorts of proposals, from a sports facility to affordable housing, industrial use. It goes across the gambit. The reason that nobody bid on the Cashman proposal the first time is because the restrictions at the end were a little bit too onerous. What essentially the terms were is you buy it, you pay us, and then we'll decide later if we're going to like your project. If I were a developer, I'd be a little reticent to agree to something like that. We changed the regulations and the expectations at the back end so that people will know that they've got X amount of time and to bring in their proposal and have a pretty good idea if that would be accepted by the city council. So the next time we put it out for bid, and that starts on February 27th, I think we're going to get a very robust auction. The value of the property has increased by a couple of $1 million since we first made that proposal. I suspect that the property, or that part, and the state building is also going to be up for auction. It's up at the same time. So people will have an opportunity by the Cashman property, buy both properties, depending on how large their project is. So I am very optimistic that we're going to get a bid. What my vision is, I haven't decided yet. It's going to be the highest and best use of the property. Anything that can help us redevelop that or develop that part of the city. I mean, it's prime property. It's within a few blocks of downtown Las Vegas. I think that whatever we decide on as a city council, is going to be something we could all enthusiastically support. But I feel very confident at this point that it will in fact go in the second auction, and that we're going to see a building there that is going to be very beneficial to the city. Feel
We're
free.
just about out of time, so we'll take a couple more questions and then we'll have to wrap up.
Thank you. Mayor Berkley, we know that it's going to start warming up here in Vegas soon, and so with the amount of heat deaths that we had last year, over 500, is the city working on anything specific to help with mitigation efforts, especially for those who are unhoused and are now having to face some of the camping ordinances that were passed last year?
Well, I'm going to answer that in a couple of different ways. One is, it is my belief that no human being should be living on the streets. And we have to do everything we can to ensure that we get people off the streets and provide them with, if it's mental health therapy that they need, provide them with that. If it is a drug addiction therapy, alcohol addiction, that we provide them with that and help them become self-sustaining by job training. So this is not an easy thing. If it was easy to get the homeless off the streets and self-sustaining, it would have been done a long time ago. But I am committed to do that and to not only work again with the other jurisdictions to see what we can come up with that is going to be helpful and beneficial to those people that are living on the streets. It's dangerous out there, and it is not healthy. No one should be on the streets. And what I would like to see is when the more teams go out, right now, and I'll give you a perfect example. During the campaign in the heat of the summer, I'm driving down West Sahara, and I have one of those big A-frame signs on West Sahara and Tenaya. Now, that is not exactly a bad area of town, what you call a bad area of town. Although, as mayor, I don't think any area in town is bad, but, and I noticed there's a shopping cart there, and there's blankets there, and it occurs to me in a flash of a second, somebody is living under that sign. It was 117 degrees that day. So I called Dave Marlin of Vegas Stronger, because I had just seen him the day before at one of his graduations. And I said, Dave, do you make house calls? Because I have a tenant living under the sign. And they did go out, they offered help, they offered services, and whoever was living under my sign declined all help. Now, I think we need to make sure that not only do we offer the help, but we insist on it. Because I don't know where this person went, but it wasn't my intent to evict him. It was my intent to help him. So if he left my sign and went to somebody else's, all that is a matter of geography. It's not solving the problem. Now, as you know, there's a number of proposals right now. The biggest one, of course, is Campus for Hope, and I'm very, very supportive of that. Even if we can get 1,000 people off the street, get them the therapy they need, get them the housing they need, get them the job training they need, and then they end up, leaving the program and being able to care for themselves and their families. I think that's a big step. I also am working with at least one developer that wants to bring homeless veterans housing to Las Vegas and is looking to provide 800 beds and all of the wraparound services that are needed. Now, for me, and I've always been a big advocate for the veterans, the idea that we have any veterans living on the streets is an anathema to me, and I think a shame on our country. And so if we can get another 800 people off the streets, 20% of the homeless are veterans. If we can get them off the streets and deal with their PTSD and the other challenges they're having, I think right there's 1,800 people off the streets. And then we'll continue working on this. What I said when I first got into office and during the campaign is first I was going to deal with the Badlands issue. Then I was going to deal with the animal issues. And the third issue, and these are not necessarily in order of importance, would be the homeless. So we're just about wrapped up with Badlands. We're working judiciously regarding the animals and what we're going to do to protect them and make it safer for them to live and thrive. And then we're going to start dealing with the homeless, which is admittedly a much larger challenge.
Yeah, we got one last time.
Okay.
Oh.
You mentioned working cross-jurisdiction, and one of the biggest challenges that any local official is working cross-jurisdiction, especially here in the city with the county commission, City of Henderson, North Las Vegas. How are you going about that, and how are you working to strengthen those relationships across jurisdictional
Well,
lines?
Mr. Tannenbaum, I have a 40-year history of public service. I know everybody in office, and more than just a nodding acquaintance. Some of the people that are serving at this time are very close personal friends, and if not friends, certainly colleagues. There isn't anybody that I can't call and talk to. So I think I'm ideally suited. If anybody can do this, I think it's me, and not because I'm imbued with any special powers. It's just that I've been around so long, and I always make this joke. I've been around so long that people that didn't like me because they can't remember why they didn't like me. And so picking up the phone and talking to Tick or Mike Naft or Jim Gibson or any of the county commissioners is like making a social call. Same thing, I'm very, very fond of the mayor of Henderson. When I was running Touro University, obviously we worked very closely with the city council and the mayor in Henderson. North Las Vegas, I've known Pamela Goins Brown and her family for decades. And so I think working with everybody and seeing if there's interest, and if so, what can we do together, I think is a very good step forward. So it just takes a little bit of time and effort. I know Dave wants me to leave, but let me say this. When I was campaigning, I talked about collaboration and working, doing exactly this. I know there have been some issues between the city and the county. That preceded me. I don't have any issues with the county. I have friendships with the county, and I think these friendships can be used to work on behalf of all of the people in Southern Nevada. And as you know, most people don't know if they're in the city or the county. You know, during election season and when people were voting, I can't tell you how many calls I received from very good friends of mine and very prominent people in the community that said, something is wrong with my ballot, you're not on it. I said, well, where do you live? Oh, West Flamingo. Well, there's a reason you're not on it. You don't live in the city. You know, most people that live here and call Southern Nevada home, they don't know if they're in Vegas, they don't know if they're in the county, they just want help. And I think that's what I plan to do.
Everyone, thank you so much for being here. We're out of time here.
Thank you very much. I'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
And we had a neon night, so